Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to our panel. Mr. Gray, could you reiterate the savings again that occurs through the electronic payments?
Yeah, the savings, we've been working on this for a long time, but the savings in 2011 alone were over 600 million by getting to the point where we're at that time by having electronic rather than making all check payments. The additional savings that if we're able to move at or close to 100% is going to be an additional $1 billion over the next 10 years.
Okay. Now, I understand that there would be a waiver for those wishing for a waiver in remote geographic locations. Could you define what that would be?
Yeah, and I grew up in a rural area in South Dakota. You drive 35 miles from my little town, but when you get there, you get to Pierre, and actually they have, you can use your debit card and all that. But some of the comments we got in were from some areas in Alaska, for example, and I think maybe an Indian reservation in the States, where one individual goes in for a group every week or every month and takes checks along. So that's really why we had that, where it's very remote and they didn't have the infrastructure to support a debit card.
Mm-hmm. So would you say that anyone who could prove a hardship would probably have access to a waiver?
We don't look behind the statement, and I will say that the form for the waiver is very straightforward. If someone comes in and basically makes any kind of reasonable case for geographic hardship, then we haven't turned those down. We haven't tried to investigate, and we didn't plan to do that going into it. We said basically, hey, we think we think most people, given the experience we've had since 2008 with a direct express card, we think that actually serves people better than checks. But if there is some exception, then the waiver process is there.
Ms. Saunders?
If I might respond, the people who do not have do not have access to debit card machines because they live in such a remote geographic area are unlikely to have access to notary publics. And the signing your waiver request form by a notary is a prerequisite to getting a waiver. So that in itself is a catch-22 that we're concerned about.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to comment? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.